After back-to-back salvos aimed at Ukraine and overtures toward Russia, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico's handshake with Russian President Vladimir Putin has signaled more than just a diplomatic meeting. It marks a defining moment in Europe's escalating energy crisis and deepens the continent's growing divide over the Ukraine conflict. The two leaders met in Moscow on Sunday during Fico's working visit, addressing global issues, including the contentious gas transit dispute between Moscow and Kyiv. Their meeting comes on the heels of a similar visit by Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán in July 2024, strengthening a bloc of European leaders critical of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's policies. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov revealed that the meeting, scheduled only days in advance, focused on Ukraine's recent refusal to allow Russian gas to transit through its territory, a decision fiercely defended by Zelensky during remarks in Brussels last Thursday.
We will not continue the transit of Russian gas. We will not give them the opportunity to earn additional billions on our blood. Any country in the world that could receive something cheap from Russia, in the end, tomorrow, in a month, in a year, will become dependent on the Russian Federation. This is their policy. That's why we won't transit Russian gas anymore.
Zelensky's firm stance on gas transit marks a sharp departure from past arrangements, leaving the Soviet-era Urengoy-Pomory-Uzhgorod pipeline, once a vital link for Russian gas to Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and Austria, in uncertainty. His refusal has forced European leaders to search for alternatives, exacerbating the already fragile energy supply. In stark contrast, Fico lambasted Kyiv's decision as absurd, warning of severe economic repercussions for Slovakia and the EU.
I'm surprised at the vehemence of the response, where he basically ruled out any notion that Ukraine could transit virtually any gas. Because it's still some notion that any gas will go through Ukraine, it'll just be Russian gas. Absolutely ruled it out. And came up with suggestions that I find absurd, for example, that he'll only agree to it if we don't pay until the end of the war. He'll give you gas for free.
Fico's frustration with Ukraine's stance on gas transit reflects deeper concerns about the fairness of the ongoing support to Kyiv. With Slovak public opinion already divided over the European Union's continued aid to Ukraine, Fico hinted at possible retaliatory measures.
If we are helping Ukraine, I would expect Ukraine to help us. Tell me, how do I now explain to the Slovak public? And I'll be dealing with this episode in my head all Christmas. So Zelensky sent you to Reedy with apologies, people will tell me, and you will continue to pack electricity and send humanitarian aid there. I can't quite rule out that if behind this situation, that we will not have to think of Slovak measures that will be reciprocal. If he decided he didn't exist, because God forbid someone should get money their own gas, but they're going to sell that gas somewhere else anyway. So we have to wonder why it has to be one-way traffic only. Why it has to come only from us there. Why can't there be some show of solidarity also towards us?
As talks progressed, Fico revealed an unexpected proposition from Zelensky regarding NATO membership, which he promptly dismissed, citing its improbability and misalignment with Slovakia's position.
As we were coming to the end, the president returned to the subject of gas and asked me, if he gave me 500 million euros of Russian assets, I would vote for NATO membership. So of course, I answered flatly, never. You simply know my opinion on Ukraine's NATO membership, and it's strange that he asked me such a question, because he knows very well that Ukraine's NATO membership is completely unrealistic.
Fico also criticized Zelensky's refusal to consider a truce. He highlighted the staggering human cost of the ongoing conflict, asserting that Zelensky's insistence on total victory before any peace negotiations remains a major obstacle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say this. President Zelensky absolutely refuses any truce. Any truce. He still has an idea that maybe he has to get everything in the world first, and then he'll think about some kind of truce. And in the same breath, we all say, the enormous loss of human life that accompanies this war conflict.
In his annual Direct Line calendar, Russian President Vladimir Putin downplayed the impact of Ukraine's decision to block gas transit. He criticized the EU for enabling Ukraine while facing the fallout of higher energy costs.
Ukraine has cut off supplies of our gas to European consumers. On the one hand, it is eating straight out of their hands, because only with support from the West, including from Europe, can it exist, not just fight, exist. And at the same time, it creates problems for them by cutting off supplies of our relatively cheap gas to Europe. This contract will not take place, it's already clear. Well, that's fine, we'll get over it. Gazprom will get over it.
The discussions also touched on sanctions imposed by Kyiv, targeting Russian oil giant Lukoil and restricting oil transport via the Druzhba pipeline to Central Europe. These measures have prompted Slovakia and Hungary to seek EU mediation, underscoring the deepening fractures within Europe over energy and geopolitical strategies. Russia's military actions in Ukraine, launched in February 2022, have significantly reshaped Europe's energy landscape. While Moscow framed its intervention as a defense of the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics and a reaction to Kyiv's NATO aspirations, Ukraine and its allies have denounced it as an invasion. As Fico and Putin wrapped up their talks, the EU's energy stability hung precariously in the balance. Fico's alignment with Moscow, along with Hungary's similar stance, presents a growing challenge for Brussels as it navigates the dual pressures of supporting Kyiv and maintaining unity among its member states.